Welcome into Q92 Sports episode of, I guess, Baseline to Baseline, we can call this thing, as we're going to be chatting to a number of different folks and kind of doing some check ins as time comes and goes within the county and within the different leagues that we cover here in Stark County on Q92 and Q92radiosports.com. And pleased to have our first episode and a new head man of the Green Bulldogs in Mitchell Spotleson. Obviously, many of you probably remember Mitch from his playing days back at Lake so many years ago, and for his dad's time in the coaching ranks when he was at Canton South and different schools. And Mitch, thanks for joining us today, and congrats on the new gig.
No, thanks, John. I appreciate it, and thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to talking hoops here, and we're rolling into June here pretty soon. So excited to start getting to work with the team and get over there to Green and hopefully have a productive summer.
I would say you're a teacher at Lake, correct? So that's
Yes.
That's where you work day to day, and you were an assistant coach for Coach McBride at Lake the past couple of years, correct?
Correct. Yep. So this is year 4 of working with Coach McBride as his varsity assistant. The 2 years prior, I spent a year as the freshman coach and spent a year as the JV coach before that. And then I'll be heading over to Green actually and teaching 9th grade Algebra 1 over there next year. So both teaching and coaching over there. I'm excited to be in that district.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about working for the guy that I guess taught you so much about the game when you were in high school. I mean, you were a Tom McBride player, Lake, part of a team that made a deep run with Chandler Vaudrin and some of the other guys that you had. It was a really talented group. What was it like working under him and taking that knowledge, not just as a player, but now as a coach, Mitch?
Yeah, it changes from player to coach for sure. When you're a player, you're just kind of in that mode of whatever Coach McBride says, whatever he wants us to execute. Yeah, this is what we're going to do, and you kind of trust that. And then when you get to be a coach with him, you really get to see all of the thought behind it of why we're doing this and why we're trying to execute that and why we do this drill every single day. So I kind of, as a coach, you get a new appreciation for all the time that he puts into it and the thought process between how he develops his teams and things that you're like, why in the world do we have to do this as a player? And then you turn around as a coach and you're like, you start to see the full picture of kind of Coach McBride's plan and how he executes it.
For Mitch Spotleson taking over and being the head coach, what kind of coaching style do you hope to bring? Because as I said, I mean, your dad, a well-known head coach in the area. I saw Frank at a game not too long ago, and Tom, who you played under, so distinct in his coaching style. What do you hope to bring to the sideline, Mitch?
Yeah, I think I have a unique mix because, playing for Coach McBride and coaching with Coach McBride, you've seen, he does a great job of adapting what he does and how he tries to execute to his opponent. And then playing 4 years at Malone, I really played in, it was my first time really playing in a system where this is what we run, this is what we do, and then we will adapt out of that system to our opponent and make adjustments out of that system. But it was very set in stone of what we were going to run for 3 years. So I think a combination of that. I think that I'm focusing a lot on transition and playing. Kids want to shoot the 3 right now, so trying to find, and execute that into our game plan and development. And then obviously I think a lot of what we do starts defensively. I think that's a huge piece to the game. I think rebounding and exaggerating the rebounding, both offensively and defensively, I think are huge focuses for me. But again, good, solid man-to-man defense, I think, is the number one principle for me, because any other defense out of that, I think if you hone in on those defensive principles, you're going to be really good in whatever defense, man or zone that you run. So,
it's interesting that you bring up that 3-point ball, because I know even as soon as when you played, 12 years ago now, it's not that you guys didn't shoot the 3-point ball, but you were much more of a, let me get to the bucket and let me get to the mid range and let me work in that avenue of the game. Do you hope to instill some of those things within these kids?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think you want to, you start to develop and teach kids like what's the difference between a good shot and a great shot. And I think them understanding that of, yes, we want to be aggressive and yes, we want to shoot threes. And I think that that's something that a lot of kids want to do. But how can we create good opportunities and create threes off of stuff that we work with and work on, and just getting shots that we've practiced, not just chucking threes, I guess is a good way to put that. But yeah, trying to instill how can we get great shots, not the first good shot that's available, I think is a huge part of trying to develop players as they get through to the varsity level.
Mitchell Spotleson, our guest here on Baseline to Baseline, our first guest, our first installment of the show. He is the new head boys basketball coach of the Green Bulldogs. And Mitch, let's talk about that. When it comes to guys to take over for, Mark Kinsley is amongst probably the toughest to follow. He is a legend in the halls at Green. He took the program from whatever it was so many years ago to becoming a power that made runs to the Elite Eight, games away from, going all the way to Dayton or Columbus. What's it like to follow him, and have you had conversations with Coach Kinsley?
Yeah, I mean, number one, just having him as a resource, I think is incredible. He was in every one of my interviews that I had over at Green. So kind of getting his blessing to take over the program, I think was a lot of excitement. And then going over there and kind of him showing me around and him being available to answer, any questions that I ask, I think is a huge resource that not all first year head coaches get. So I'm not, I'm not somebody that's going to come in and my pride's going to tell me, no, we're rewriting the ship and everything's brand new. I think there's a ton of incredible things that Coach Kinsley started that we can build from, and that'll allow me to add in my own twist. But also, I mean, he's retiring from teaching too, but just him as a resource to bounce ideas off of when things pop up of, I don't know how to handle this. Having him available from a coaching perspective, who's done it for as many years as he's done it, I think is an incredible perk to the job. Yes, there's huge shoes to fill without a doubt. I think I saw the stat was 114 games he's won in the past 6 years. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. I think that a lot of coaches would be very thankful to have the last 6 years that he's had. But again, I think it's exciting. It's a challenge, and it's something I'm looking forward to.
What about Dad? As I mentioned, I remember when Coach Spo, your dad, was at Canton South, and obviously had a lot of steps along the journey. But what have those conversations been like as he's watched his son go from player in high school to player in college to assistant, now to head coach? What have you and the old man talked about when it comes to the game of ball?
He just gives me a lot of advice. He's never been somebody that tells me, hey, you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. This is what you should do. This is what you should do. He's kind of he's a resource that I can bounce ideas off of, ask questions. And he gives me really good, like, total picture advice, I'd say. He's now retired from teaching, and people have asked, are you bringing the old man out of retirement? And when my dad retired, I think he meant retirement. He's been living that up to the full extent of it, but I still think he'll be somebody that'll be in the stands. He'll be at practices when, off and on, just to kind of watch. And again, he's just going to give me big picture advice and observations like that from somebody that's worked with a lot of people in basketball. He's another really good resource that I have around. I've started, it's become full circle now, because I can remember when he was an assistant at Glen Oak and sitting in the stands watching those games. He was an assistant coach at Lake for my first 2 years, and then being able to watch his journey as a head coach at Canton South and go watch those games. So a huge he's just a huge resource of information that I'll definitely take advantage of and ask a lot of questions for.
It's so unique, Mitch. A lot of coaches get to start in, I wouldn't say a lower position, but they get their start at a Division 4 or Division 3 or a place where I won't say making mistakes are a little bit different, but to start in your journey in the Federal League. And again, I know it's where you played. I know it's what you used to. It's what you grew up with. But what kind of pressure does that put on you, and onus does that put on you to be, I won't say perfect, but have that understanding that, hey, this is big boy basketball. Like there's no time here to mess around. This is big boy ball. So what does that put on you as you take this journey into this new position?
Yeah, there's definitely a part of that. Just again, I've developed a huge respect for all of the coaches in the league. When you look around at, I know the knowledge and the expertise and the passion they have for basketball, and there is that little bit of pressure of, yeah, this is Federal League. This is something that's very respected again. And for me, again, I think it's just kind of my approach to everything. I'm going to approach it, giving it the absolute best effort and the absolute best, the best passion that I have towards the game of basketball. And at the end of the day, I can walk away with it through success and failure, again, knowing that I've given it my absolute best shot. I've been able to work with Coach McBride now, who just finished year 25, and I've gotten to see what it takes to have a 25-year career in this league. And I've gotten, to grow up, like you said, in the Federal League. So I think part of it is having the knowledge and being able to roll right into, I know what teams are going to do, and I know what coaches like to instill. I think that helps a lot. But yeah, I mean, I do understand there's a lot of pressure, and winning basketball games is important. And in this league, there is a pressure to win, and I think that's something I'm excited for. I'm excited for that challenge.
Last thing for you here, just a couple of quick rapid fire things. People who get to know Mitch Spotleson just a little bit. So we're going to do these quickly.
Okay.
Jordan or LeBron?
LeBron. I've grown up watching, and my dad would disagree, but I've grown up watching LeBron, and I'm on the LeBron train.
Wings, bone in or bone out?
Bone in.
Bone in. Good man.
We just took the seniors out last night, met with all the seniors over at Green, and we went to Quaker Steak, and bone in was the order.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles, I would go with.
Why the waffles?
I think that probably I've just eaten more waffles, and those are usually things that I keep frozen in the freezer, and those are normally my breakfast most mornings, so waffles are usually the pick.
Then last thing, this will maybe get your kids a little bit excited, but social media of choice?
Twitter. I think that just the outreach of people reporting basketball, and it's where I go on every Tuesday, Friday night to immediately find out who wins games. It seems to be the best resource there. So, which is crazy because I think Twitter's starting to not as many of my students that I have in class are using Twitter. So it's almost like when I was younger, we'd all make fun. Oh, Facebook's for moms and dads and stuff like that. And now it's like, yeah, there's not a lot of younger kids that have Twitter, but Twitter's just a awesome. I should be calling it X probably as well, but Twitter's just, as far as basketball coverage and stuff, it's pretty good.
Wasn't sure if you would say TikTok and get the kids on your side quickly.
No, exactly. No, I have not gotten the TikTok yet. No.
Mitchell Spotleson, new head man of the Green Bulldogs. So excited to be a part of this journey with you and be covering you throughout the process. And we here at Q92 and Q92 Radio Sports, we wish you the very best of luck, and we thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, and I appreciate all the coverage that you guys do and all the work that you guys put into covering the area in basketball. It's exciting to follow, so I appreciate your guys' work as well.
Coach, we'll see you first time that you step foot on that sideline in green. Thanks again.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Thanks, Coach.